Hello and welcome to the Tuesday Talk Show with me, your host, Yvonne Gorman. The Tuesday Talk Show is powered by Essential Print Services, my very own small business based on Pride Park in Derby. But enough about me. You're here to listen and watch live or on catch up our very special guest, Vicki Lovegrove. Hello, Vicky.
Hi, Yvonne.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine. Yeah, my first live Facebook thingy.
Your very first live Facebook thingy?
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, we may get some comments and questions coming in. If you're watching this live or on catch up, give us a shout out. Come on, send your comments and questions in. We would love to hear from you. This is going live on the Essential Print Services Facebook page, the Small Businesses Unite Facebook group, and also, of course, the Tuesday Talk Show YouTube channel. So if you're not already subscribed to that, make sure you click the subscribe and bell icons to be notified of future episodes. But let's go into, this is series 7, episode 3 of Tuesday Talk Show. It's all about business coaching for business growth, personal development and leadership. So Vicky, tell our audience today who you are, what you do, and why should we listen to you?
Oh, right. Okay. So yeah, my name's Vicki Lovegrove. I'm mainly a graphic designer. I've got a graphic design business in Burton-on-Trent. I've run that for 18 years. I'm in my 19th year. And I've worked in the creative industries for over 30 years. But in the last few years, I've moved my business slightly into coaching. So I now also coach creatives.
Why is that? Why did you decide to do that little shift?
Well, it's something I need. You know, I have a coach as well. I think every business should have a coach, but I'd seen a need for creatives. There's a lot of bullying that goes on within the creative industries, particularly within advertising design agencies. And I think as creatives, we sort of feel like we're there to solve all the problems because that's what we do. We solve business problems visually. And we really shouldn't have to solve all the problems. We should have somebody we can talk to. And that's what I do with my coaching clients. I'm there to support them and keep them on track.
So you're like a creative coaching counsellor.
Sort of. Yeah. I just think, you know, in every business journey, you should have somebody that's there, that's not involved in the business, who can just listen to you and help you work through your issues.
Absolutely.
Not telling you what to do or anything. And I'm certainly don't get involved in the creative aspect of what people do. But because I've chosen to work with creative people because it's my background.
Yeah.
Also, I love to see what other creative people are doing. And even though I'm not getting involved in that, I just love to see that. And I love to see other creatives doing really well in their business as well. Yeah. So, you know, if they've overcome something and then they've managed to move on from something, I just love it. You know,
and it's not so much a competitive industry, more of a collaborative one. I love to see, like you, Vicky, I love to see other creators doing really well. What are the latest trends? You know, what do you think to this? Sort of use them for soundboarding as well. We have two viewers saying hello to us this morning. You know, so we've got Deborah. Good morning, Deborah. Lovely to see you on the show. And also got Maria Hanson, MBE. Good morning, Yvonne and Vicky. Well, good morning, ladies. If you are watching this live on Catch Up, please send in your comments and questions. We would love to hear from you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Vicky, out of all the guests, I think we've had about 40 guests so far on the Tuesday Talk Show. Out of all the guests, Vicky was the only one to send me a bio of herself, of things that she'd like to talk about and information about her. And I thought that was uber organised and I love that. So definitely something that I'm going to look at doing for myself for sure. But you did
I was listening to my coach, you see. So my coach said, you need to do this. Have you considered doing this? I did it.
I liked it a lot. But you mentioned in your bio, and you've just touched on it there, this issue of bullying. You know, where did you start seeing that happen? And what evidence do you have of that? What's your thoughts around it?
It's always been there. I've worked in advertising agencies, I've worked in design agencies, I've worked for printers, I've had an in-house creative roles. And apart from the in-house creative roles, I didn't really see it there. I've seen it across the board. But you sort of just got on with it and tolerated it. But in the last 2 years, during the pandemic, I've seen a lot of creative people come forward in industry publications, on LinkedIn, talking about their experiences. I think because there's the distance, they're not in the studio, they're not in the office, they feel like they can talk a bit. And quite frankly, the behaviour that I thought was probably over in the 90s is rife and still prevalent. Women in particular having to put up with it, the drip, drip, drip of knocking of people's confidences. You can leave work sometimes feeling defeated because you don't feel creative enough. When we do a creative job, we're putting in a bit of ourselves all the time. We can't help it. It's what we do. And if you've got a manager who's dripping in, oh, you're a bit rubbish, that's not quite as good as I thought, but constantly making it personal as well, you just have no confidence in the end, and you become a bit of a cog. And a lot of the bigger agencies, that's what they want. They want cogs. They want people who are creative thinkers, but aren't going to be creatively challenging, maybe. But we shouldn't drip away at people's confidence just to make somebody fit. And that's what I'm seeing. And within advertising agencies, it's just awful. And I you mentioned last week you had Estelle on, the other week you had Estelle on, and then Estelle does havening. Well, I also do havening because Estelle got me into it. And I've been using it to help creatives with that lack of confidence. And when they've got their confidence back, then they can evaluate where they are in their role a bit better, because they might feel like they want to leave.
Yeah.
But if they were more confident, they might be able to cope with it better. Or if they've already left their jobs, I can help them get the confidence back to apply for a job, because I'm finding that some people are a bit paralysed. They've had such a terrible experience. They're frightened to put themselves out creatively again in case they get that chipping away again. But it's not.
It does strike a chord with me from my my experiences throughout the creative industry, more in production than the creative side, more than the production side of print. But so you're looking back sometimes, you think, my manager may have been, little chipping away at me, but what did they know? They were a manager running a business. They weren't actually a creative person. So I think that's very important to find the right fit, and that's difficult.
That's a thing. Some people are made managers or choose to be managers. Doesn't mean they're a people person, but also, if creative people respond differently and they work in a different way, they can't be chained to a desk.
No,
they have to move around and get the thought process going.
There are certain times of day where I have to do a creative task, but it feels like you're walking through mud because you're not in the right mindset, and it takes you 2-3 times as long to do it than if you were to wait when you were more creative, maybe in the afternoon or wherever your sweet spot is. It's so important to be more flexible. And with flexible working now, I think that has helped creative people a lot. We are flying through time already, Vicky, and there is a sheet of questions that I really want to ask you. So I'm gonna go to the next question, which is an important one I want to squeeze in. It's all about personal circumstances, where you were at when you decided to take that leap of faith to work for yourself, because many people starting their own businesses have this preconception that you have to be in debt up to the hilt, or you have to have investors, or you have to be on Dragon's Den to be a success. And in my experience, that's not the case. What were your circumstances? What was at stake at the time when you took that leap of faith?
So I was made redundant in 2003. I worked for a small design agency, and I could sort of see it coming, to be honest with you. But I was sort of waiting, he was paying me. I was thinking,
Yes.
I won't jump, it might pick up. And then I got made redundant, and I went off and did a bit of freelancing in agencies while I was trying to work out what I was going to do. Then I got a bit scared. I thought, it's a bit uncertain. So I got myself a job, and it wasn't till I went back into a full-time job at a printer's, I thought, no, go quickly, go back, because this is a mistake. And so I went back to the freelancing. I was going into various agencies in Northampton and Milton Keynes, where I was based at the time. And it was lovely because I got to try lots of different types of graphics, which I wasn't doing in my previous role. And got to meet, expand my network and move around a bit.
Did you have a mortgage at the time? Did you have... You had a mortgage at the time, so there was something at stake there for sure.
Yeah, mortgage, but husband, no kids. So, and it wasn't a massive mortgage. So, at the time you think it is, and then, you move on.
Yeah. Nothing at all compared
to... Exactly. But I thought I'll give it a go. And I did find it stressful, but then I had previous clients find me. And I can't remember how they did it, actually, because I certainly didn't reach out to them. I think I must have made myself a little website, and then I got found. And then all of a sudden I was shifting from freelancing in other people's businesses into doing all my own work with clients. And then I thought, well, actually I prefer that because I'm quite introverted. So to be in my own house working for these people was much more preferable. So and from then on I've just built up a business at home. I've never had an office. I've never wanted to. I've never employed anybody because I didn't.
It looks very glamorous where you are as well. You've got the lovely plant. You've got the fancy chair. It looks very nice. Very nice.
It's my creative corner.
Your creative corner. Love that. Thinking about all the clients that you've helped so far, Vicky, what is there a common theme that seems to spring up, and why do you think that is?
Yeah, it's complete lack of confidence.
Okay.
And they're confident in that they can create, no problem with that, but they're not confident in their roles, particularly if they're running their own business. It's the unknown stuff. So for you to be able to sort of just walk alongside them, and if they've got a question, you can say, well, have you thought of this? And then it's a bit of a safer way to try things sometimes, because you've got somebody to talk to and bounce ideas off. When you're on your own, and I did this, it's quite difficult.
It's hard. It's hard.
You've got nobody else to bounce off of. So it's a bit of a softer way of doing things, really.
Are we talking something different to the imposter syndrome here?
I think there's an element of that, but I think generally, it's just, there's a bit of fear of the unknown, really. But once you've worked with somebody for a while and you've took them through a cycle, because business basically is cyclical, isn't it? You just learn something and then you repeat it. Once they've repeated it a couple of times, they're usually confident enough to just get on with it. And
I find, Vicky, that even customers, clients, even people in your life, they run in cycles as well. So a client, you may lose a client, and then they'll come back again, and then it's just just not your turn. So when I first started out in business by myself, if I did lose a client, which was not very often, for whatever reason they weren't a right fit, I beat myself up about it a lot, and then I soon realised, and then they came back, and you're like, oh, okay, it's okay, it just wasn't my time.
As long as you treat people decently and you let them go and you do it graciously and you always make them realise the door's open, they usually come back.
The way you exit is just as important as the way you arrive. That's something I definitely advise people. If you're talking to an established business owner then, Vicky, what one piece of advice would you give them and why? Not necessarily in the creative industry, but in any industry. If you met someone networking and they said, come on, Vicky, what's your top tip for me? I've been in business for 10 years and I want to take it to the next level. What's your top tip?
Okay, so my top tip is always, for any business, keep marketing, even when you're busy.
Yes.
And in fact, market when you're busy.
Yes.
Because that helps with the peaks and troughs. And we're all guilty of doing that, being so busy we don't market, and plan it, plan it the year before, so you know what you're supposed to be doing. And for creative businesses, my top tip is don't just look at your job as your creative output. You should have creative output outside of work, because it keeps you rounded. Your work that you're doing creatively in the business is there to please somebody else. It's a commercial thing. You should be doing something creative for yourself. Because if often you say, oh, I'm a graphic designer or whatever, but a lot of the time what you're doing has to be compromised because the client wants the changes, and that's fine. They're paying for it. You're a commercial artist. You used to be called commercial artists, didn't we? So you're a commercial artist, designer. You're getting paid for it. To a point, you have to do what you're asked, but you know that can chip away if you're not being fully creatively happy with what you're doing. It chips away at your mental health, and I always describe it as it's a bit of a slow death. If your work isn't creatively fulfilling, you just get a bit sadder and sadder and sadder, which is why you should be doing something outside of where it's creative, and it could be not related to graphics or whatever your discipline is.
Yeah,
I
feel like I'm being coached right now. I'm laughing because I know this is so true of myself. Going back to the keep marketing even when you're busy, that's something I definitely advise my business buddies to do. Yet doing it myself is something completely different. Let me just show you something. So my habit tracker is on my Essential Print Services calendar, and social media has gone by the wayside for me a little bit because I have been busy and I was getting inquiries from elsewhere, so I've not really focused on it that much. But I said, right, January, every day I'm going to post something on my social media platforms, and I'm going to tick the days I do it. Okay. And there are the days so far that I've done it. So yeah, that's not going too well at the moment. So that's really important to keep up the marketing and doing creative things outside of work and commercial time. For me, that's difficult because we've all got time issues. But I enjoy creating things on my laptop, which I work on all day, every day. So then to open it up again in my own time feels like, well, I've been on this all week. I need a break from it. But that is the way I release my creativity. So that's a little bit of a devil and angel thing I'm going through at the moment. It's like, well, I want to create something for myself, but I'm doing it all week. So what am I supposed to do?
I would always say try something completely different, try something completely new. I'm learning the guitar at the moment. That's part of my thing. I'm yet to be creating anything with it, but I really enjoy music, so I will get there eventually. So I'm enjoying that. I sometimes do some sewing, so it's, I'm learning to crochet. So these are all things that have got nothing to do with work for me, because I find it quite stressful creating on the computer after work. I don't even want to look at it. So I have to find my creative outlet somewhere else, but not everybody's the same. So
very, very similar to me. Before we go over to the next question, because again, we're flying through time. Maria Hansen just mentioned about the habit tracker and posting on social media. That's Maria at the moment, 31 days of posting the Me and Dee story, past, present and future on LinkedIn. And I have been reading Maria's stories on LinkedIn, and I know for a fact that she has kept up with it, unlike myself. So the next question for you, or next topic, Vicky, is your top tips to help businesses focusing on the year ahead. What sort of advice would you give a small business particularly to help them grow over the next 11, 12 months?
Something that introverted creative people don't like is being visible. So I'd work on being a little bit more visible, and I'd do a little bit every week. So don't set yourself a social media challenge of posting every day if you absolutely hate it. Post once a week to start off with and gradually build it up. And once you become more confident with it, you know, you might find you enjoy it. So I found that over the last year or two, I really enjoy writing long posts. In fact, I'm finding writing in general quite creative. So I'm enjoying that. And I did break my video cherry by doing a video. I'm still not sure, but I did it. So I'm going to go back to that because I haven't got the fear of the unknown anymore. But for me, again, I'm doing something on video. It's on the computer and it just gets a bit... but I would just say, you know, plan what you're going to do and just don't overcommit if you're not comfortable with it, because you won't stick with it.
and plans can change, can't they? Plans can change.
Yeah.
If it happens, you've got something planned in for March and something better comes on, you've got a better idea. Yeah. That's fine. Things can change, and
you don't have to be on
perfect either. People, I've got a fear of posting stories on Instagram and they're not being perfect, so I don't post them. I do everything, and I go to post and think, oh, do you know what? I don't think my eyeshadow's quite right today, or the hair doesn't look perfect, so I'm not going to post it. I'm like, what am I doing? That's crazy.
Yeah, and you know, the apps are looking for consistency. So if your consistency is once a week, that's consistent.
Yeah.
You know, it's when you sort of come and go and you're not sticking to it. And also, I don't think you have to do every app. I've been on Instagram and I actually find it quite boring. So I'm probably not going to do that anymore. I don't like Facebook for my business, so I'm not going to do that anymore. I've made that decision. I'm just going to stick with LinkedIn. And that's fine because I'm going to be consistent on LinkedIn.
Yes.
So that's the sort of way I think you should approach it.
That's really good advice, actually, Vicky, about sticking to the ones that you can commit to. That often works out even better than trying to spread yourself too thinly. Yeah. From your business coaching community, who do you admire the most and why?
I have a mentor. His name's Brett Mabley, and it was through meeting him that I decided to get into coaching. Actually, I had a feeling I wanted to do something like that. Clients kept telling me all about their lives and in such detail, and I thought, well, I've got one of these faces that people just keep talking to. And then I mentioned it to him at a lunch. I think we were out all training, and he said, well, there is a reason for this. And he took me out for a coffee and he explained that you'd probably be quite a good coach. Aww. So that's where I got into it. But he's a really good mentor for me. Yeah.
Oh, that is fabulous. What about sort of the more famous business coaches? Do you follow anyone online or on social media?
I listen to a lot of podcasts. And I'm really into Stephen Bartlett's podcast at the moment.
Oh, I've just subscribed to that.
It's so good. And I started with the Brené Brown episode. I think it was Brené Brown. No, that was a different podcast. Sorry. But anyway, he's just brilliant. And I love his podcasts. But I can't get enough of podcasts, to be honest with you. And even ones which are not business related, but they may be talking to women who work. Like Sophie Ellis-Bextor one is very good because she talks to lots of women who work and how they juggle their lives. It's all useful. Stephen Bartlett's my favourite at the moment.
I love anything about psychology, Choiceology by Katie Miltman. That's always a really good one. But I'm looking forward to getting into the Stephen Bartlett podcast. When do you listen to them? What environment are you in, just out of interest?
I'm always walking my dog.
Right.
I'm always, if people see me around Burton walking with the dog, I've always got these massive headphones on because they're noise reduction ones, and I'm always listening to a podcast. So every day, maybe twice a day, I'll be out, and I've always got a podcast on.
Fantastic. So again, we're flying through time, Vicky. I want to get a couple more bits in. Thinking about going back to starting out in business, we've talked about your circumstances at the time, what was at stake. What advice would you give to someone who's thinking about starting a new business?
Just do it. Stop
Everyone
waiting for your
says that.
circumstances to be
Everyone
perfect.
says that.
Yeah, just do it. And also, tip 2, whatever you earn, just remember it's not yours. Put 40% of it away for tax and have a separate account for that. So always do that. And get insured. I've worked with people who are not insured. And if something's gone wrong, then the liability would always land with me. Whereas, they should have been insured. So professional indemnity insurance is so key. And it just puts a line under how professional you are. I think if you're out working with businesses, in particularly business to business, or you're doing anything like graphic design, you can completely change a business with graphic design for good and for bad. And if you're not professionally insured, you're not a professional, in my opinion. So I am quite strong on that one.
Oh, that was very good practical advice. No one's mentioned the insurance thing before.
Well, I've had my fingers burnt by a supplier who wasn't insured. So
really,
personal pain there.
But yeah, everyone on Tuesday Talk Show, right from the beginning on series 1, episode 1, everyone has said, just do it, just go for it. So that's great that you've continued that trend. So Vicky, what is your biggest business challenge right now?
Well, I've got some coaching slots coming up, and I'm looking to work this time with more with bigger businesses. So creative businesses who are finding it challenging getting their staff back into the office. Maybe people are suffering from the stress and burnout of the pandemic, and they're just maybe not creating as well because there's probably something underlying. Or you've got some introverted staff members who are just not feeling like they're gelling in the team so much. They're the sort of creative businesses I'm looking to work with.
You could be almost their in-house creative coaching corner. That they could call upon you to do something similar that I did with my staff at one point. We had a business coach, life coach, come in and just be there for them. I pay you a retainer. If my staff want to have a meeting with you or a phone call, they're there because there's issues going on that they won't want to talk to me about because I'm their boss.
Exactly.
To have an external person is absolutely, it was really, really good. It made a huge difference to the team and the way that we gelled together too. So I will keep an eye out for those sort of contacts for you because I'll see how that can work, especially with people, like you say, working from home, who've maybe been working from home creatively for 2 years now.
And
then been asked to come back into the office for maybe a couple of days a week. And it's like, how does this work then? There's distractions there, whereas there weren't at home, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And really help businesses right now with that.
Yeah, and it can all be done over Zoom now as well, so you don't even have to have somebody invading your office and studio if you don't want that. Somebody could just go into a meeting room and have a quiet meeting on Zoom. So, it's quite easy to do these days.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully people watching this live or on catch up will look out for those contacts for you because, again, the Tuesday Talk Show is all about advice and also networking. So I'm going to wrap up there, Vicky. We were just going into the 30-minute mark, which is fantastic. We're going to come back to you, though, for your final thoughts. That could be something that we spoke about or maybe your favourite inspirational quote. The Tuesday Talk Show is powered by Essential Print Services. If you want any questions or any comments, please pop them in the comments box. That would be great. And if you're watching this live or on catch up on the Tuesday Talk Show YouTube channel, then please click the subscribe and bell icon to be notified about future episodes. And we're going to finish off with Maria going, that's a very lovely interview, ladies. Thank you very much, Maria. Fan of the show. So Vicky Lovegrove, over to you for your final thought.
Well, I've got a book.
Oh!
And for anybody who's struggling with creativity or thinks they're not creative enough or just would like to know more about being creative, I recommend this book. And it's Creative Blindness and How to Cure It by Dave Trott. and it's a brilliant book, and it's for anybody. It's not just for people who work in the creative industries.
Amazing. That is one that I've never heard of, and I love my business book, so I'll get that as soon as possible. So thank you, Vicky, for your time. I know time is precious for the coaching world, as in any industry. So thanks for giving up your time and sharing all your valuable advice to our viewers at home or in the office. We're bang on 30 minutes, so we'll end there. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you soon for the next episode of Tuesday Talk Show. See you later. Bye.